Welcome to Onslow County Today. Joining us today will be Chance Hellman from the Onslow County Museum. We'll also talk with our friends from the Onslow County Public Library about their December programming. And finally, we'll speak with Tax Administrator Harry Smith about end of year and new beginnings in 2016. Thanks so much for joining us for Onslow County Today. Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us now is one of my co-workers, Chance Hellman from the Onslow County Museum. Chance, we're so glad you're here.
Thank you, I'm glad to be here.
Now, Chance, we are doing a really exciting and fun exhibit coming up at the museum, and we have to let folks know that since you were visiting with us last, you've actually changed positions in the museum. Tell us how you have kind of evolved, if you will, from education coordinator to your new title, and your new title is?
It's collections manager.
Okay.
So I'm now in charge of the collections of the museum and then researching, writing, and designing exhibits and maintaining all of that back of the house kind of stuff.
So we won't necessarily get to see you as much as we have, for example, out in the schools, but you have a whole new part to play, and you are jumping in with both feet, and I think what is going to be one of the most fun, engaging exhibits that we've done in a long time. Tell us about Local Flavor.
Sure, so Local Flavor is the kind of our take on Onslow County's food heritage. So that's our subtitle, is Onslow County's Food Heritage, Processing, Production, and Preservation. And we're going to look at all things food, which is exciting, especially this holiday season. You know, people like to eat a lot, and we want to talk about all of the things that we tend to think about, or things we don't tend to think about when we talk about food. So we're going to explore food from this county's beginnings. We're going to talk about Native Americans hunting and fishing, the colonial settlers, African American slaves, all the way up through present day restaurants that you see exploding all across the county. So it should be really, really neat.
Well, you know, when we talked about doing this exhibit several months ago, when you took this position, I said, I know exactly what we should start thinking about, because there's not a Monday, I don't think, that you and I don't walk into the office and say, guess what I cooked this weekend, guess where I ate this weekend. And so it's really very much a part of our conversation that goes on at the museum.
Yeah, sure, and I think that's true for a lot of people. I think food is very important, we have to have it, of course, but it's also very intimate. It's something that we as an industrialized nation are able to take to another level, I think, and we are able to diversify that. We're able to eat a lot of foods from other cultures, so I think food brings us together. But it can also divide us. I think throughout history, food, for the haves and the have-nots, you know, can certainly divide people. And so I'd like to explore all of those things, and that really has been, you know, organic, because we talk about food all the time.
Now, when you're talking a lot about your research, and as you say, you're going back to the earliest people who've lived here in Onslow County, we're bringing it right up to present day. What sort of things have you been surprised by?
The most surprising thing for me is when I think about eating out. And so when typically we talk about eating out, we're thinking of restaurants. And you go to a family restaurant maybe, or you go, you know, to a dive somewhere and you get wings, something like that. And we tend to associate that with post-World War II. Before World War II, we didn't have kind of the affluence in this country that a lot of people could go eat out. And so my hypothesis was that you see an explosion of restaurants. And while that's true, people were eating out from the earliest time, not so much Native Americans, but once you get into the colonial period, there are taverns and ordinaries that spring up all over the county. And they're serving food, and they're serving drink, and they're providing a place to meet people and catch up with people and share news. And to me, that was really, really exciting to see. What we're going to use is there's an inordinate amount of ordinaries in Onslow County.
You know, one of the things that you shared with me, which I was not aware of, was this notion of, you know, we're all very much aware of food trucks as kind of contemporary. You see it on television. We go to these food truck kind of festivals, we go to a carnival. But you discovered kind of the earliest of food carts at the courthouse, even in the 18th century.
Oh, sure, yeah. So in the 1760s, folks had to apply for a license in order to keep an ordinary tavern where they're going to sell food. And all of the prices are regulated by the county court. And one of the things that I found that was really neat was that someone had applied for a license to operate a tavern at the courthouse in a booth on the courthouse lot. So this is not out of their dwelling, out of their home, which is typically the case. This is out of a booth, and so you have to think about what a booth would mean. And as I explored that further, I found that this isn't uncommon, and they're there really to supplement the court day, because people are coming here for business. They're going to need a place to eat. They're going to need something to drink. They're going to need to have a place to sleep if they're staying overnight. And so people, they're going to fill that void, which I think is really interesting. So that's kind of the first hot dog cart like you see out of the courthouse today, which is kind of neat.
The very beginnings in about 1760. Now, we bring the exhibit up all the way to the 21st century. And what we've also really seen is this notion of the revival of traditional foods. So somebody who grew up eating collards and cornbread and grits are seeing it take on a whole new personality.
Sure. So we see a growth in these farm-to-table restaurants, like Fine Fixins that we have here in Onslow County. And these restaurants are really taking what we typically think is just good food down home, something your grandmother made or your mother might have made, and we're seeing it served in a way that is almost fine dining in a way, and that's really neat to see because it's good food that we all can enjoy. And a lot of us have grown up on it, and it really is becoming more mainstream. It's not just something you go to grandma's house after church and have fried chicken. It's somewhere you go and you might put on a button-up shirt and sit down and have a nice meal.
Now, the last thing I want us to really talk about is the exhibit. Although you've been doing research all summer and now as we've gotten into the fall and preparing for the exhibit to open, for the big grand opening, the exhibit will continue to be very dynamic because you're inviting the public to participate and really interact with the exhibit. Talk about how our viewers and the visitors to the museum can become part of the exhibit.
Sure. So we're going to invite visitors to share with us their experiences both at home at the table, stories that they might have had around dinner, but also recipes. So if there are family recipes that you're extremely proud of, and you think other people ought to try it because your pound cake is the best pound cake out there, or cornbread or whatever you have, we'd like you to share that with us. So we'll have a wall where you can post recipes, and we'll have a recipe book as part of the exhibit, interactives that people can really get involved with. And then I'd like to take those and then post them, maybe share them, put them on Facebook. You can find us on Facebook, of course, and share your stories and your experiences there as well. We'd love to see them.
And remember, you probably do make the best pound cake, and somebody else wants to try their hand at it too.
Exactly, yeah. And if we can connect people that way to the exhibit, but also to each other, I think that'll be really, really neat to see.
Well, you mentioned that connection, and we're concluding the exhibit with a little bit of different information, and that's the work that we'll be doing with the United Way and talking about folks who now face, in the midst of all of our abundance, food insecurity. And share with us a little bit about that idea.
Sure. So we tend to romanticize this idea of food, especially now with all these great restaurants and these great recipes that we're talking about sharing, but not everyone has access to that. So even while many people are very well off, or even if they're not well off, they're able to afford food and good food. But that's not always the case. And so we want to make sure that people realize that there are some food insecurities out there, and that there are areas where they might not have access to a grocery store very easily if they don't have public transportation, and we have what we term food deserts. And if people can't get to fresh produce, they can't get to good meats or proteins, then those families, they tend to see certain issues, diseases that you associate with malnutrition. And so we want to make sure that people are aware of that, and hopefully we'll have a way to donate food through the museum so that we can support local food banks, things like that.
Well, very good. Well, Chance, we are excited about local flavor. Tell us about the grand opening day and where we can find the museum.
Sure. So we're located on Highway 258-24 in the town of Richlands, and we're going to open on December 12th. So we'll have an open house the afternoon of December 12th, and we hope that everybody is able to come out and join us, and hopefully we'll have some really neat things make you kind of hungry and you want to go get something to eat afterwards.
Awesome. Well, Chance Hellman, thank you so much, and we are looking forward to learning more about local flavor in Onslow County.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us now are our friends from the Onslow County Public Library. We have Samantha Sharon and Ophelia Hamilton to talk about your wonderful winter fun activities. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
You know, it's gotten colder, we're settling in, we're getting ready for the holidays. And you guys have got some wonderful things planned for our families and for our kids that are going to just last all month long. Ophelia, tell us what's going on at the library.
Well, we will go ahead and start the month with Pajama-Rama. It's our 6th annual Pajama-Rama, and we had such wonderful feedback for Pajama-Rama that it's something that we try to do every winter. So we will be doing Pajama-Rama, and that will be Friday. They both will be Friday, and there's going to be 2 different dates. And then that way we're able to go ahead and take care of everybody within the county. And it'll be Friday, December 4th for Main Library and Sneads Ferry from 7 to 8:30.
Okay.
And then Friday, December 11th for Richlands and Swansboro. And I think the excited part about the Winter Wonderland Pajama-Rama is that it's after hours. And so, you know, a lot of the families are like, oh my gosh, especially the kids, because they get to be in the library after it's closed.
In their pajamas.
Yes, in their pajamas, absolutely.
In their pajamas. So from 7 to 8:30. Samantha, tell us a little bit, I mean, Pajama-Rama, Friday nights in your pajamas. What are we going to do?
There's going to be lots of crafts, activities, fun things for the whole family. So there's going to be something for everybody there.
In our pajamas.
In our pajamas.
In our pajamas in the library after hours or late 7 to 8:30. So that, you know, the whole idea, you know, there's so many children's books about being in the library or being in the museum at night that I know how excited they're going to be. So we've got the annual Pajama-Rama celebration, all 4 branches,
Yes.
and open to families, crafts, activities in our pajamas. And how much does it cost?
It's free.
Absolutely free. And then what else do we have going on?
We also have at the end of the month, after the craziness of the holidays, that last week in December, on Monday, we will have a, oh goodness.
Kind of a movie night or?
Yeah, it's a winter show is
Okay.
what we are calling it, just to allow the families to come in and not worry about, you know, that last week in December. So we'll be doing different movies at all the branches. So Monday, December 28th, it'll be at 10 in the morning. And then on Wednesday, December 30th, it'll be at 2 p.m. So the branches and the main library will be doing movies. And so you'll want to go ahead and call the local branch to see what movie they're showing for that date.
So each one will be a little bit different.
Yes.
Each one will be a little bit different.
All
And,
relaxing, all fun.
and you know, you're right. After the big build up of the holidays, and then there's a week before everybody goes back to school, that's just a nice time to decompress.
Right.
Decompress. And also not stay at home in your pajamas all day and say, I'm bored.
Right.
This is a great way. And you know, during that downtime, we still want to keep them active and still keep those wheels turning. And so, you know, I want you all to really just, and we're going, you know, a little bit off sidetrack here, how important it is during the holidays to provide books for our kids. I mean, whether it's coming to the library and reading holiday-themed books or getting books under the tree or for special occasions. Tell us a little bit about the value in that.
Well, literacy, we see it in everything we do. And so it's so important that we continue that. And there's so many fun ways to do that. And so that's what our library is here to do. But one of the other things that we have is we call it Tech Thursday.
Right.
And I'll let Samantha go ahead and say a little bit about
Every Thursday at all branches from 4 to 6 p.m. And this is really great, especially after the holidays when people are gifted a lot of e-readers and they may be confused about how to get them started, how to get them set up, especially with the local library. And we welcome everyone to come in and sit down with us for a one-on-one session from this time period, 4 to 6. And we will set it up for you. We will walk you through it, teach you how to work it if you don't know. Or what's great about Tech Thursday, since it's an ongoing program, you can come in at any time with basic computer questions. If you don't have a personal device, but you just kind of want to learn about new technologies that exist, we can set you up with our computers that we have and get you started with new programming.
And you all offer so many more options now for e-readers and other devices, not just books, but your magazines now. A lot of them are available on your e-readers. So how have people responded? I know that, you know, when they were first introduced, there was a little bit of hesitancy. I miss the feel of a book, people would say, or the smell of a book. But e-readers, it's become just kind of commonplace now. How have your visitors responded?
We see a lot of people that are interested in it, and especially we call it gift and run, because we get a lot of patrons that are like, oh, I got this for Christmas, but I don't know what to do with it. And yes, they enjoy the reading and they want the book, but at the same time, we hear a lot of them say, you know, when they're waiting at the doctor or any other time where they have to wait, it's a good thing to have when they're doing that. So we have seen a lot of people use it more, especially, you know, our Zinio for the magazines and a lot of the resources that we have, like Overdrive for our North Carolina Digital Library. That is absolutely amazing. I use it every day when I do my drive. So
yes, traveling is one of the biggest that we hear about for a lot of patrons coming in and saying, you know, this is just a great resource. I travel every day, sometimes for 2 hours or more, and it's nice to just have a book to listen to, something different other than the music. Not that there's anything wrong with music, but it's really nice to hear new books that are out and that it's free. People can come into their library and know that they're getting a great resource.
It's a fantastic resource, a fantastic resource. Well, you all are getting us through the winter. We get to put on our pajamas. We get to watch movies. We get to learn about new technology. And Samantha, you said it. Excuse me, you said it. It's free.
It's free. That's the great part.
Now, let's, of course, affiliate, direct everybody to your contact information. So your telephone number first?
910-455-7350.
Okay. And Samantha, to your website?
You can find us through the onslowcountync.gov/library.
All right. Well, thank you all for bringing the holidays to us, and thank you for bringing us Pajama Rama.
Yes.
Wearing your pajamas to the library.
Yes.
Always fun, always great to have you all here, and we look forward to seeing you in the springtime.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us now is Harry Smith, Onslow County Tax Administrator. Harry, we're so glad you're here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Lisa. I appreciate it.
Now, at the end of the year, we have an opportunity to have you on the show and talk about several things, as well as any changes that may occur with the new calendar year offerings in 2016. So let's begin with, as we wind up 2015, what do we need to be mindful of?
Well, obviously, the end of the year is our busy season for collections. Our bills are issued earlier in the year. They're due September 1st, but they don't become delinquent until January the 5th of 2016. So naturally, a lot of folks wait till the end of the year, right before the payment deadline, to come in and pay their taxes. So we just kind of wanted to remind taxpayers about that upcoming payment deadline. A lot of folks come in by the end of December, and obviously it's a busy time for our office, so we always want to make sure that folks know that we are open for business, ready to receive payments at any time. You don't have to wait till the last minute. And this will be our second year of collecting out at our new facility out at the Onslow County Government Center. The tax office is located at on the second floor of the new building.
So do not go to Tallman Street.
That's correct. We will not be there.
Okay. So just remembering that they need to make sure that before that they beat that January 5th deadline. And with everything going on with the holidays, we can all get busy, and so this is a good time to remind them.
Right. And also like to remind them of how they may pay their taxes. Obviously, when the tax statements were mailed out, there's a payment coupon at the bottom, and obviously the easiest way is to just mail a check in with that payment coupon. It'll come directly to our office at the Government Center. Also, citizens may pay online by visiting our website at taxonline.onslowcountync.gov,
Okay.
or they can just go to the tax page on the county website, and there's a link there also. So they can make their payment by either credit card, debit card, or e-check. And we also now take those electronic payments at the front counter in the tax office also.
Okay, very good, very good. Now, then we kind of turn the page on 2015 and move into 2016. And there are some new programs and also some reminders about the new year you want us to know about.
Yeah. January is the traditional tax listing period. By statute, taxpayers who have personal property such as boats, motors, airplanes, or business personal property are required to list that annually. A lot of folks think it's just automatically listed, but the statutes do require that the taxpayer actually list that property. So in order to accommodate that process, we mail out pre-printed listing forms to all taxpayers who listed property in 2015, and they will be going out towards the last week of December or so. If taxpayers didn't list last year, they need to contact our office and we can get them on the mailing list to get them an abstract in their hands. But those forms need to be, any additions or corrections or new listings need to be made and turned into the tax office no later than January the 31st.
Okay, so we have, we'll be getting those towards the end of December. But sometimes we've moved, sometimes information isn't correct. We don't need to wait for that abstract to come to us, that reminder to come to us. We should contact your office.
Yeah, and that's absolutely true. If someone has changed locations or moved, their mailing address has changed, it would be best if they could go ahead and notify us of that so we make sure we have the correct information so when those mailings go out, they go to the correct location.
Very good. And 2016 also means when we're listing, we can also file for some exemptions.
That's correct. Along with the listing period being in January, the other thing that opens up in January is for taxpayers to file for the various property tax exemption programs. There have been a number of exemption programs on the books for years, basically like for churches or nonprofits, governmental units don't have to file an application. But there's a number of those, and probably too many to go through here in the program. But we did want to make folks aware that there is a new program that was enacted by the legislature this past year, and it's for a builder's inventory exclusion.
Okay. Can you give us a little bit of detail about what that means and really where we can go to find more information?
Sure. The information will be available on the tax office website, but basically this new exclusion or new exemption for builders is aimed at taxpayers who are in the business of developing land and reselling it or building new structures, residential structures. So basically what happens with this exclusion is any increase in value that is created by subdividing land or building new residential construction, which would be a single-family home or a duplex. The difference in that value between what the old value was and what the value that would be created by the improvement
Right.
Can be exempted from taxation.
Okay. So, and again, there's so many details that surround that and the other exemptions that people may be eligible for that we can direct folks certain to your website. And you have such a wonderful, experienced, helpful staff. They can certainly call your offices.
Absolutely. Just call our office or visit our website, and if you need more information or to get an application. The links to the applications will also be on our websites. But as you mentioned, this new legislation does have quite a few nuances and different situations that it could apply to that may determine whether somebody feels like they need to pursue that exemption or not. One other thing which is a little different from this new exemption from the old exemption, or the existing exemptions I should say, is it does require an annual application. So folks that get approved for this exclusion or exemption for 2016 will have to come back every January to reapply in order to carry it forward. Also, just another little fact about it, it can carry up to 3 years for residential property or a maximum of 5 years for commercial property.
Okay, all really important information for our citizens and our businesses to know about. We want to recap, so make sure they're going to be getting those final payments in for 2015.
Right.
Deadline is January 5th.
That's correct.
Okay, and then listing information is going to be showing up in our mailboxes towards the end of December.
Correct.
And need to have that done by January 31st?
January 31st.
All right. And Harry, last thing, can we just give folks the main telephone number there at the tax office, just in case they do have more questions?
Sure, absolutely. It's area code 910-989-2200.
All right. And is there anything, before we close out, that you do want to share with our viewers about the tax office or anything that they might need to know as we close out the year?
Well, one other exclusion I did want to
Sure.
mention also, in addition to the property exemptions, we also have property tax relief programs which are available for elderly or disabled persons or disabled veterans. And the application for those, we start receiving those in January, but they actually can go till June the 1st to file those applications.
Oh.
And the income limits for the elderly and disabled change a little bit each year. So once again, I just encourage folks to contact our office if they have any questions or to go to get more information on application for those programs.
Great information and important information for our community. Well, Harry Smith, thank you so much for your time. We wish you and your family and your great folks up at the tax office, your great staff, a really happy holiday season.
And thank you, you too, Lisa. We appreciate it.
Thank you, as always, for joining us for Onslow County Today, and a special thank you to our guests, Chance Hellman, Ophelia Hamilton, Samantha Sheeran, and Harry Smith. We are in the midst of the holiday season here in Onslow County, and this is a wonderful time to reach out and be part of our Onslow County community. We thank you all for your time this year and invite you back in 2016.